Welcome to Tuesday. Well, it doesn't have to be Tuesday. It could be any day you want. But welcome back to Student of the Gun Radio. That's the important thing. It doesn't matter where you are and when you're listening to this. You could be in Kazakhstan listening on a Wednesday. You can be in Zambia listening on a Friday. It's okay. As long as you're listening, that's what's important. And I am your host, Professor Paul Markle. I'm here in the Glass Case of Emotion Studios, which is located on the sunny Gulf Coast of Mississippi, Biloxi, to be specific. And said something horrible happened in Biloxi. Did you see obviously you did because you sent me the story, the Waffle House murder. How horrible is that? And what's even more horrible is there was no one there to stop it from happening. Just killed a woman and walked down into the parking lot like it was cool.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, and so why do you wear your gun always everywhere you go? Because there are bad people with weapons, and I can't stop the bad people from leaving their house with weapons, but I can make sure that I'm ready. So Biloxi is in the national news now. I actually went to Fox News and looked at top stories, and that's the number 3 story on Fox News. Or at least it was on when I looked on the internet.
Yeah, I was
on the internet machine.
I don't know how. I mean, I don't know. That stuff doesn't really happen a lot around here.
No, it doesn't. Fortunately.
But, did you say unfortunately?
I said fortunately.
Oh,
I said fortunately it doesn't. But give me a break. Anyway, so here we are at the at Student of the Gun University, Fight U, and we hope that everyone out there listening had an enjoyable. I hope you guys. We didn't really talk about it yesterday on Monday, but I hope that you had the opportunity to relax a little bit on Thursday. We hope that you did not participate in the insanity and the shame and the embarrassment that has become Black Friday.
Yeah.
Why has it got to be black? I think it's racist, and I think that the Black Lives Matter campaign should campaign to make that not happen anymore.
You want to know what I did on Friday?
Sure. What did you do on Friday? Drove?
Yeah. Well, no. Yes, but no. Alex took me to Mississippi State University, which is where she went to college. And it's actually a really nice campus. We went over there. Nobody was there, so it was the perfect time to walk around. But she took me over there, and we walked around the campus. She showed me where her actual school classroom was, and just kind of looked around. And it was a beautiful campus.
Oh, well, there you go. Little plug for Mississippi State University.
Yeah.
In Spartanburg.
Oh, Starkville.
Starkville. Yeah, that's...
Spartanburg's in Alabama, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Whatever. Starkville.
It
has an S, an A, and an R in it.
You want to know what they call it up there? They call it Stark Vegas, which, it reminds me... Starkville reminds me of Millersburg.
Stark Vegas?
Yeah. Starkville reminds me of Millersburg, Ohio, where I grew up, like the downtown area.
Mm-hmm. Why would they call it Stark Vegas?
I don't know. It does not resemble Las Vegas
to me at all. As someone who's been there, but who can tell why people do things and say things? I don't know. I'm sure someone right now is writing you, telling you exactly why that is. They're like, I know. Speaking of the United States of America, hello to everyone who's listening in Ohio and Michigan and in Oregon. And Oregon is abbreviated OR, Jared, not OG.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah, I knew that.
Just so you know that. That's making sure that you know.
But it has an O and a G.
For those of you that are behind the, I don't know what kind of curtain it is. It's not really an iron curtain. I just realized that I was saying that most people under 30 don't get the Iron Curtain reference because they were raised in an era after the Cold War. And you remember when you asked me what the Cold War was? And I had to explain it to you.
No.
Because they didn't teach you in school. I know they didn't teach Zachary.
They didn't teach me anything.
We didn't teach Zachary what the Cold War was. But I don't really have time to teach you about the Iron Curtain, but it was the former Soviet Union and the oppression of communism, which communism today is it's wrapped in a new dress and lipstick, and we call it social progressivism or progressive socialism, and it's so wonderful. It's not mean and nasty like communism. It's just like, we still want you to give us all your money and all the control of your life, but we'll let you play. We'll let you have an iPhone. As long as you give us all your money and be a good little slave, we'll let you play with your iPhone. Oh, I can play with my iPhone still. Well, as long as you promise me fairness and equality, I'll surrender to you. Okay. That's California. That would be New York. That would be New Jersey. That would be Massachusetts. That would be most parts of apparently Colorado today. Sorry, Colorado, but you guys in Colorado. Colorado is a sick, weird state. You got a state that has been historically very hardy, very manly, very rustic, and well, I don't know if rustic's an appropriate word, but very healthy and outdoorsy and conservative. And then they piled a whole bunch of tax slaves and tax parasites and weenies into the major metropolitan areas and turned the state into a great big bunch of whiners and crybabies. And I'm sorry for you guys out there in Colorado. But that's what happens when you let your bayonets get rusty and dull. But let's move on to Student of the Gun Radio. And today we're going to talk about Century Arms, the sweetest-smelling arms company in America. You like that transition? That's pretty good, huh? Duracoat, because life's too short to have an ugly gun. Brownells at brownells.com. You can buy Duracoat at brownells.com. And you can also buy Frog Lube at brownells.com. Velocity Triggers. If you've got a black rifle, they have a trigger for you. Superior quality and value. Did I say that right, Jared? Did I try?
Yes, you did.
Superior quality and value. VelocityTriggers.com. Check those guys out. And Crossbreed Holsters, the most comfortable inside the waistband holster you're ever going to wear, and the highest quality one you're ever going to wear. You could buy a Crossbreed today, or you could buy 2 or 3 of those knockoff brand ones over the next course of the next year and be disappointed and say, gee, I wish I wouldn't have wasted that $35 on that piece of garbage. Jared, why do people think that they need to change the shell on their waistband holster? Why do people think that that's a good thing?
I don't know.
Seriously.
I thought the same thing. I asked a couple people why they thought it was a good idea. And it's not about changing the shell. It's not why they buy the product. It's about the price.
So they're just buying cheap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every single one of them, they said it didn't really. They said the convenience of changing a shell meant they only have to buy one holster, and then get different shells. But
did they get the whole conforming the back to the gun thing?
They didn't understand that until I told them, and then they're like, "Oh, I guess that makes sense."
All right. Yeah. Okay. For all of you guys that are going to get duped into buying a cheap piece of crap, you can do that. You're an American or you're whatever. You can buy a cheap piece of crap, and then when it breaks and it's not uncomfortable and it doesn't work like you thought it was, then you can go ahead and buy a quality product. So it's up to you. But understand this, a holster that is made of leather, you're like, a leather holster? Yeah, like dead animal. First of all, if you're going to buy a crossbreed, spend the extra money and buy the horsehide. Just do it. And after you do that, understand this, that you need to actually put the holster on your body. And this comes with any holster, especially a leather holster. You need to put the holster on your body and actually wear it. I know, you're like, what? But I'm not going to wear it till it gets broken in. No, no. You have to wear it and break it in. That's how it works. And what will happen after about a week or two, depends on how much you wear it. If you only wear it an hour a day, it's not going to happen. But if you wear it, 12 hours a day like normal people do, what you're going to find is that horsehide leather backing now has conformed to the shape of your pistol. Oh, you mean like leather boots conform to the shape of your foot? Yeah, kind of exactly like that. And so if you were to buy a holster and you could change out the shell for a different gun, that would mean that the new gun that you're putting in it is not conformed to the back, which means you'd either have to redo it or it'd be like kind of a weird thing. And I don't know what you're thinking, but yeah, you don't do that nonsense. And there was one holster. It had instead of smooth rivets, it actually had screws and screw backs. And I can't even fathom wanting to have screw heads or screw backings pushed up against my body.
Yeah.
But I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy who's been carrying a gun professionally for 30 years or so now. So
I'm still learning. I was trying out the new Freedom Carry holster from Crossbreed with my TP9 SA. And for me, for my body type, it works perfectly for appendix carry. But I tried it at the 5 o'clock position where I normally wear my super tuck, and it didn't really do it for me.
No.
It might work for you guys because you have a different body shape than me, but I prefer the freedom carry in the appendix position.
Well, there you go. All right, let's talk about, and the reason I wanted to acknowledge all our friends and sponsors at the very beginning is because once I get into this, we're going to go pretty hard and pretty serious into it. And
we're going to go ham. Would you say that?
Okay. Is that what the hipsters and the kids are doing today?
Yeah, you know what going ham is?
I have no idea.
It's upgrading from bologna.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool.
I'm sad that I had to be.
That's cool for you.
I had to be subjected to that.
You know what?
I'll explain it after.
You know what I had explained to your brother yesterday. I can say this on the radio because those who get it, and those who don't. We stopped at a gas station, and the girl behind the counter was wearing the gas station, like the uniform, the official like Flying J shirt.
Yeah.
And she had makeup on and stuff, and she was wearing a pearl necklace on top of her. And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." Zach, she's wearing.
Did you explain it or did
yeah? And I said, "That's interesting. She's wearing a pearl necklace with her uniform shirt there." And he gave me that like, he gave me the "you're an idiot and I don't know what you're talking about" thing. And I said, "Zach, he's like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about, Dad." I'm like, "All right, son. Well, part of your becoming a man, I'm going to go ahead." So when we got back out in the truck, I hipped him to the relevance of that. And I was good. I didn't even compliment her on it or anything. I was like, "Oh, that's very nice of you. You look very festive today." And that's a cool thing about, innuendo and those who know, and those who don't. And there you go. But let's talk about the go bag. The go bag, the bug out bag, the whatever you want to call it. And the misconception that a lot of people have about a go bag or a bug out bag and what have you, especially the bug out bag. I've had a lot of people, there are a lot of stuffy old codger type dudes in the outdoor shooting sports industry. A lot of, I'm not going to call them FUDs, but a lot of people that are these effete or elitist outdoor shooting sports people, kind of like your Zumbos and your Metcalfs and so forth, that they don't understand the need and desire of these young people to be all weird and this. Where are you going to go? I've had people say in reference to the bug out bag, and these are industry people. I don't get the mentality of this bug out bag thing. I mean, why would you want to leave your home and go somewhere else? What do you think you're going to do? Go live in the woods like Rambo? And I'm like, no, not really. That's not really the point. In a situation like we live in Hurricane Alley. And every year, 6 months out of the year, we have to pay attention to the news and the Weather Channel because if a hurricane hits, we may or may not have to grab bags, throw them in the car, and head north or west or east or whichever the direction is correct. Many of you who I would say probably at least 25% of this nation lives in an area that could be affected by a hurricane. From the Texas coast all the way over to the Florida coast, all the way up to the Carolinas, Georgia, Virginia. A freaking hurricane hit New York and New Jersey 3 years ago. Hurricane Sandy. And all you freaks up there in the north, all you freaking Yankees are like, what happened? We're starving to death. There's no food and no water. We don't have electric. What are we going to do? NEM. Hey, retard. Human bodies don't run on electricity. You can survive for a long, long time without electricity. That's the thing that I was smashing my head in the wall listening to news reporters talk about the trauma behind not having electricity.
That's one story that you relate in the Honey Badger book is about your house when you were a kid.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you guys moved in to a house after an Amish family had moved out and moved into a different property. So you guys didn't have power for a little while. How did you survive?
I don't know. It is amazing that I am currently alive.
He was, man.
I was subjected to living in a house that did not have electricity.
And that was just some rough times.
Oh, the trauma. I'm still working it out with my counselor, with my therapist. I'm still working out the psychological trauma of living in a house without electricity with my therapist. Dude, we didn't just not have electricity. We didn't have running water either.
You had an outhouse.
I actually, when I was a teenager, and this wasn't, in 1864, this was in 1983, actually used an outhouse on a daily basis.
Remember the outhouse? Remember when I went to that outhouse with Grandma?
Yeah. Jared was like 7 or 8 years old, and we were talking at something, and I said something about an outhouse, and Jared laughed, and he said, "Oh yeah, I know." And I was like, "You know what an outhouse is?" He goes, "Yeah, I went to an outhouse with Grandma." And we're like, "You went to an outhouse with what?" He said, "Yeah, that's where you go and meet people and have food and talk." Like, you mean an open house?
It's the same thing. They both start with O.
Little bit of difference between an open house and an outhouse. So anyway, the point is the go bag. Let's get back to the go bag. People have this weird concept that people with bug out bags or go bags think that they're going to throw the pack, they're going to throw it on their back, and they're going to run out into the woods and hide from, the Gestapo or whatever. And that's not really it. First of all, it's not a practical plan anyway. But number one, you may have to vacate your house. You may have to, for whatever reason, leave your house and go somewhere else temporarily. And folks, do I need to tell you that it's not a great idea to pack when you're in a panic state? Because you're not going to remember the stuff that you need to remember. Do I need to explain that to you?
It's like packing the morning of the trip.
Yeah, like waking up thinking, oh, crap, think about this. You have a trip. You're planning on getting up at 6 a.m., taking a shower, having some coffee, finishing packing, and going to the airport, right? That's what you're planning on doing. The power goes out. You wake up, it's 7:45, you're supposed to be at the airport by 9, you're panicking, you're running around, grabbing crap, throwing it in a suitcase, trying to shake the cobwebs out. You get to where you're going, you realize that half the stuff you needed, you forgot. That's what it's like. Oh, crap, there's a hurricane coming. We need to get out of here. Oh, crap, there's a whatever. We need to leave. If you wait until that moment to try and put stuff together, you're going to forget something that you should have had.
Unless you're the modern youth, then you can just whenever you get where you're going, you can just spend mommy and daddy's money and buy whatever you need.
Yeah, you just go to or everything's on your phone, right?
Yeah.
I have my iPhone, so because I have my iPhone, then I can get everything that I want to get with my iPhone. Not really. We still live in a rock and stone world, and every once in a while the power goes out. And what are you going to do? That's step number one. Now, step number two for the go bag or the bug out bag or what have you is, and this is something that was really driven home to me hard when we went to CSAT in Texas, and we spent the time with our buddy Shane and Paul Howe, and they did the urban defense course. And some of the scenarios that were set up were, one of the scenarios was it's a civil emergency, whether it is, I don't know, whether it's a hurricane or it's a power outage or it's riots or it's ice storm, or it doesn't matter. Whatever has everybody all, messed up, whatever has the world messed up. And you get a phone call or you don't get a phone call or what have you from your aunt or your uncle or your mom or your dad or your friend or your relative or somebody who lives somewhere, and you need to go check on them. You need to go help them. You need to go do something. But what state are you in now? You're in, obviously a crisis state. The reason that you're going to drive out to, your uncle's house in the county or whatever, or from the county into the city, it doesn't matter. You're going there because there's a crisis. So what do? Well, you grab that bag and you go, because that bag has essential emergency stuff. When I during the last decade or so, I've done a lot of hunting out west, in West Texas, in North Central Texas. I've in Wyoming several times in Wyoming, and if you've ever been to rural Wyoming, you can get in a car or truck and you can drive for an hour and not see another car or a house or a building. I'm not talking about, traffic is light or whatever, or no. I'm talking about getting in a truck and driving for 45 minutes and not seeing a building, a house, a gas station, a nothing, not seeing another truck or car. And so we were out there and I said, man, if something were to go wrong right now, the car breaks down, whatever, and we're out here. You're like, oh, I got a cell phone. Really? You're in the middle of God's great nowhere, and you're relying on cell service? Oh, maybe not. Oh, so the pack that I would carry all the time, and somebody actually joked with me because I got on the back of a gator hunting vehicle when we were going out to the stand, and I had to pack, and it was it was full of stuff, and they're like, dude, we're just going out for the day, for that. And we'll be back tonight. We'll be back in the cabin tonight. You don't need all that stuff. And I'm like, I said, no, you don't understand. I said, this is my falling off a truck bag. And they looked at me. They're like, weird, like kind of weird, like falling off a truck bag. I said, if I were to be on the quintessential movie book, fiction thing where someone falls off, if I were to fall off the back of a truck and have nothing but this pack attached to me, I would be okay.
Yeah, I
would be fine until someone found me or I was able to find my way back. And I said, if I fell off a truck bag, and they're like, oh, okay.
He's like, we're going out for the day, and you're like, yeah, I'm 100% certain I'll be back tonight.
Yeah, it's like, well, we're just going out for the day. We'll be back tonight, no problem, until you're not. How many times have you guys read stories where people hiked and they're like, oh, it's no big deal. You don't need to take that stuff. We'll be back by dinner time.
That stuff's so heavy. Why would I take it?
And then they hike out into the whatever, and they don't make it back, or somebody gets hurt, or somebody gets lost, or something, whatever. If I were to hike out and somebody were to get lost or injured or whatever, and we had to stay overnight in the woods, and I had my falling off a truck bag, we'd be like, cool, we're going to camp for a little bit. No big deal. If you got nothing, yeah. So let's say it's whatever situation and you need to go help someone. Let's say you're a member of a Patriot Fire Team. Oh, where have you heard that before? What? If you're one of 4 individuals who have pledged to help and aid your friends, the other members of your team, that's the whole point. Somebody from your team contacts you or calls you, or they don't, or you're expecting to hear from them. Let's say you're a member of a Patriot Fire Team. 4 people, 4 families who have pledged their mutual support to each other. We'll help you, you help us. We're a community. And you need to go help them. Well, what do? Do you run around the house for a half an hour, 45 minutes, grabbing miscellaneous stuff and putting it in a bag? Or do you already have that bag ready to go? Oh, now I see where Paul's going with this. Okay, yeah. So you prepare the bag first because you don't know. This isn't some kind of crazy Rambo survivalist thing. It's if I were to have to grab a bag and run to help someone, or I had to grab a bag because we needed to leave real quick, what would I want to be in it? And that's where we're going to go right now. All right, step number 1. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to the conversation? I see you dropped some notes in there.
Yeah, I dropped some notes. I just wanted to let you guys know that if you haven't seen the entire season 5 of Student of the Gun TV, we did a dedicated segment to go bags, and there's 13 episodes or 13 segments throughout the entire season that specifically talk about what Professor Paul, what Dad puts in his go bag. And this whole episode actually stemmed from a question that somebody called into the Warrior of the Week line. I'm assuming that he downloaded the Student of the Gun mobile app, he clicked the Call Us tab, and he called the Warrior of the Week line to leave us a question. And I would like to go ahead and play that question. Is that cool?
Go ahead, man. Do it.
Hello, guys. This is Joshua Stoffel from Mount Morris, Michigan, calling in regards to go bags. I'm rebuilding my go bag, and I was wondering what would you think would be the top 5 things to go in your go bag? Thank you, and have a good day.
Okay, and you're not the Warrior of the Week, but you are a smart guy, and we got our first butt dial.
Oh yeah,
somebody like pocket dialed us or butt dialed us or something on the Warrior of the Week line. It was just like, yeah. So, whoever you are, congratulations! You were the first butt dial, pocket dial for the Warrior of the Week line. No, so I came up with a list of the top 5 because you're like, well, man, there's obviously more than 5 items in a bag. Well, yeah, there's going to be more than 5 items in a bag. But the first of all, you have to. I'm going to assume that if you're listening to the sound of my voice right now, and you are a dedicated student of the gun, that you already have certain things attached to your body. You have the essential gear, the level 1 gear, the things that are already on you. Because let's face it, you and I I'm not going to pick up a pack and I'm not going to carry it with me everywhere I go. I'm not going to wear my pack into the store. I'm not going to wear it. It's going to be staged somewhere. But there's certain things that I always have on me. If you see me and I'm clothed, if I'm dressed, there are certain things that are always going to be on me.
Do you want to name some of those quickly? Or
like a gun and a knife and a flashlight and a PLS and alternative use of force tool and a communication device and things like that?
Yeah, I was going to say that earlier when you were talking about the bag in the truck. Mm-hmm. I was going to say it was very thoughtful of you to develop the pocket lifesaver because it's so small and light you can put it right in your pocket.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, oh, I'm in the mall and someone's bleeding to death, but hang on, 250 yards away, I have a really super cool G-Wiz kit in my truck. I will be back. Bleed slowly. And, it might as well be on the moon. If it's 250 yards away, it might as well be on the moon. So here's the dealio-yo. I came up with a quick list off the top of my head, and this is probably going to be a little bit different to some of you guys out there because most of you are really gear-centric, and you're like, Mongol like gun, Mongol like ammo, Mongol fill bag with P-mags stuffed with Black Hills ammo, Mongol. Yeah. Well, here's the dealio. You have mission-specific gear, which we can talk about, and depending on what you're doing, like if you're just going to help somebody, somebody had a car accident or whatever, you probably don't need 12 P-mags. I'm hoping that if you're going to the scene of a car accident, you don't need 12 P-mags. But number 1, mind and body support material. You're like, well, what is mind and body support material? This is something that you probably never think of, and we covered this in the real quick short video that we did. About the most important survival component is you. If you're in a crisis situation, a genuine out-of-the-box, this is unusual for me, I don't normally do this, crisis, then your body and your mind is going to be under stress. You're going to be a little bit stressed out. You may not be sleeping. You may have to walk farther. You may have to drive farther. You may have to work harder than you normally do. And so what do? Well, I would vitamins supplements, multivitamin supplements, essentially SWAT fuel. And you know what I've noticed, Jared? The last couple of times that I've gotten sick, I felt like I had a cold coming on or the flu or something like that. I get it, and I feel like I got it. I increase or pay close attention to my 40 cal multivitamin dosage, drink a lot of water, and sleep. And usually within 24 hours, I'm back at it. Have you noticed that? Yeah. So, number 1, I would put some type of mind and body support material, whether it's vitamins, supplements, SWAT fuel, whatever, in the bag. And people are like, well, I already got food and water in there. I'm like, yeah, I understand the food and water part, and that's part 2. Basic water. What's really interesting here to me lately is that what is it, the Dollar General or Family General? It's one of those dollar store dealios. They sell 24? What's that big giant water bottle that your brother's always buying? Do you remember? Is it 24 ounces?
I think it's 64.
No, that's a gallon.
No, a gallon is 128.
Okay. Half gallon? No. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, liters.
Or 3 liters.
Is it a deciliter? Is it a no? No. It's a giant bottle of water. It's not a 16-ounce bottle. But anyway, it's a giant single bottle of water, and they're selling them for like 69 cents. And I thought, man, that would be perfect. Because water is heavy. You're not going to want to put a gallon of water in your bag. I mean, you can, but it's 8.5 pounds. So, but you want something to get you going, something to get you started. And for 69 cents or 70 cents or whatever, you could put essentially maybe it's 32 ounces, I don't know, but a large single bottle of water in a pack. Food. An MRE, Mountain Home Food, whatever. And that's when you have to ask yourself, am I going to want to prepare this, or am I just going to want to tear it open and eat it? The MREs are good for just tearing it open and eating it, but they have some weight to them and they take up some space. The Wise Foods products and the Mountain Home and the Dehydrated, they're super light. They don't take up a lot of space, but you do have to heat up water and you have to prepare them. You can't just open them up and eat them. I suppose you could. I mean, you could just like dump them into your mouth and drink water, but that probably wouldn't be the most fun way to eat. So the reason that I put the supplements and the vitamins and what have you first is because most people think, oh, food and water. Well, you eat food and water every day. You eat food and water. You consume that when you're not in a state of crisis. But when your body and your mind are under stress, that's a good time to give yourself a little something extra. So, okay, number one, and you think, well, I'm good to go. My belly's full. I'm not dehydrated. Yeah, but are you going to help someone? Well, yeah. Well, they might be hungry and thirsty too. So it's not just about you, Sparky. That's the cool thing about a pack is you can take stuff not just for you, but for other people too. Okay,
I know we did a video pertaining to number one, mind and body support material. We did a video about that. Where did we post that video? Because I cannot
on
find
Facebook.
It. I could not
your
find
brain
it.
just like
Okay.
you're probably looking on YouTube.
I was looking everywhere except for Facebook.
Everywhere except for Facebook.
So it was on Student of the Guns Facebook.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
I'll include that in the show notes.
There you go.
So go watch it.
Number 3. So we got mind and body support material. We got food and water of some sort. You don't need to take a ton, but I would always have something. I mean, even if you're just going to put like beef jerky sticks, protein, almonds, bags of almonds. I mean, if you want to go really super easy, grab a few of those bags of almonds because they got protein in them. I would actually, if you know what I do, when I used to have to get on planes and go places, I would always put beef jerky, almonds, and Hershey's candy bar in my pack. That was my basic. Number 3, trauma gear and first aid gear. Now, you should already have a Pocket Lifesaver or something very similar to a Pocket Lifesaver attached to your body, on your body. But the PLS, you can't put big things in it like pressure dressings, large extra tourniquets, and what have you. So those are the things that you can, extra gloves, extra this, extra that, all the other stuff that you can put in a blowout kit or what have you. That's what you put in a pack. Now, don't overlook the boo-boo kit. Not everything that happens to you is going to be, a threatened loss of life. Some things are just inconvenient, like scratches and scrapes and headaches and stuff like that, and upset tummies or what have you. So you want to be able to address both. I've actually, I've worked for companies that had the big orange bag, the huge trauma bag, and it actually had all the oral airways, and it had splints, and it had dressings and bandages, and it had all kinds of crap, but there wasn't one little package of aspirin in that whole bag. There wasn't one little package of ibuprofen or Benadryl. Benadryl is great for not just snifflies and sneezies, but if you got somebody who's dealing with some type of an allergic reaction, things like that. So, not only do you want the heavy stuff, the tourniquets and the pressure dressings and all that stuff, but you also want to make sure that you're not neglecting, because let's face it, if you've got a headache, if you've got snifflies, if you've got itchies, if you've got the upset tummy, you're already under stress. You're already under enough stress without having to deal with that kind of crap. So put that in there as well. So that takes us to 1, 2, 3. Let's talk about number 4, foul weather gear. The weather is the weather is the weather, and it's always going to change regardless of where you are. Everywhere I've lived as a human being, as an adult human being, whether it was Florida or Michigan or Colorado or Mississippi or whatever, everybody who's a local likes to say what, Jared? If you don't like the weather,
go somewhere else.
No, butthead.
Duh. Stay for 15 minutes. It'll change.
Yeah, exactly. People in Florida, you don't like the weather, just wait 15 minutes, it'll change. People in Mississippi, people in Colorado, people in everywhere. That's the crazy thing about like actually having lived in different places. I bet you wherever it is that you live, if you live in Washington State, if you live in Maine, if you live in freaking Wyoming, wherever you live, I bet you $100 that some old dude or old woman who, has lived there, I've lived there for 64 years, has said to you, if you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes, it'll change. Everybody thinks that they're the first one on planet Earth to say that. It's like, okay, the statute of limitations on the if you don't like the weather has expired. Stop saying it. But the truth of the matter is you don't know. You could go to sleep and wake up cold, wake up wet. It could be hot, it could be cold, it could be rainy, it could be whatever. The wind, cold is one thing, wet is one thing, cold and wet is bad juju. Basic stuff, super simple items like a military-grade poncho, and I say military-grade poncho, not the $2 poncho that you bought in the checkout line at Academy Outdoors or Walmart or whatever. I mean, yeah, that's okay. That's like a stopgap, but here's the deal. You can't really do anything in that poncho except put it on your body and like walk or hide under it. If you try and do any kind of real activity with that cheap $2 poncho, it's going to tear. It's going to be shredded. It's a one-use poncho, basically. You don't want that. I get that, not really universal, but the ubiquitous military poncho. And yeah, they're expensive. They're like $24 or $25 or like, $25 for a poncho. Yeah. You know why it's $25? Because it's going to keep you dry and it's a useful item and you can use it over and over and over and over and over again. And you can make a shelter half out of it. And you can cover your gear to keep your gear dry. You can do all kinds of wonderful things with the basic military poncho. And that's super simple. Now, can you do more in a rain suit? Yeah, sure you can. But rain suit is larger, it's heavier, it takes up more room in your pack. How much room is in your pack and how much stuff do you want to carry? I don't know. You've answered that for yourself. I would always put spare gloves. Even if you have gloves on your hand, put another set of gloves in your pack. And the great thing about our modern society or the way the world is now, you can walk into a Lowe's or into Walmart or walk into an auto parts store. Name one. Name your local auto parts store, and they've got a rack full of gloves. They've got the $9 gloves all the way up to the $25 gloves. If you want to go super G.I. Joe, you can get online and you can buy tactical gloves that are made of Kevlar or Nomex or what have you. You can get the ones with the hard knuckles, which is actually a really good thing if you're going to be working around vehicles, but especially armored vehicles. But get gloves. We've tested out a whole bunch of different kinds. We've tested out the mechanics gloves. We've tested out the ones that Lowe's sells. We've tested the ones from Blackhawk and 511 and Oakley and all that jazz. But get gloves. Go to your local Lowe's, spend $10, get a good set of gloves, throw them in your bag. You won't regret it. Because if you're in a crisis situation, let's say you're in a post-storm where there was a tornado or a hurricane or whatever, you're not going to wanting to grab, move, shift stuff with bare hands, especially if it's cold, especially if it's wet. Because when your hands get wet and cold, you're going to be tearing them up. Trust me. A $10 pair of gloves will be worth their weight in gold in the aftermath of a tornado or a hurricane or a car accident or whatever. Hats, that's another thing about our modern era. There are so many people out there making fleece hats, the really super thin ones you can fold up and shove in your pocket, put them in the bottom of a pack or what have you. But brothers and sisters, when the mercury dips down into the 30s, 20s, or lower, if you can reach into the bottom of your pack and pull out one of those fleece hats, it's worth $1 million. It really is. And it takes up almost no room, and it weighs almost nothing. What I've done is I've got, my rain jacket, and I stash a hat in one pocket and a pair of gloves in the other pocket, so I can just grab that jacket. It's a rain shell, put it over a fleece jacket, and I'm good to go. I'm warm and toasty, and I'm protected from the wind and the rain and all that good jazz. So foul weather gear. At very minimum, I would have a military-grade poncho, hats and gloves, and then you can add things from there. Now, the last one is tools. I don't care what your favorite brand is, whether it's SOG or whether it's Gerber or whether it's Leatherman or you name it, a multi-tool is a good thing to have. And there's really no excuse in today's world not to have one. There's so many companies out there, knife makers, like real legit knife makers, not this cheap Taiwanese garbage. Oh, I found this. This was on sale at Lowe's for $3.98. That's a piece of crap, and the first time you use it, it's going to break. Is that what your life is worth, $3.98? Okay, well, if your life's worth $3.98, rock on. Buy a decent multi-tool, and they're not that expensive. Like I said, Gerber, Leatherman, SOG, you name it. There's a ton of them out there. Flashlight. Obviously, you can have a flashlight on you, but, 2 is 1 and 1 is none kind of a deal. I would keep an extra flashlight of some sort. LED lights with lithium batteries so that they're not going to be dead when you pull it out. Spend the extra money for the lithium batteries. Lithium batteries have a 10-year shelf life. If you buy the cheap batteries, put them in a flashlight, the one time you need that flashlight, it'll be 8, 9, 10 months, a year since you put the batteries in it, and they're going to be dead, and you're going to feel like a dummy. So put the lithium batteries in it. 550 cord, you can do thousands of things with 550 cord or military paracord or whatever you want to call it. And I don't care what color you buy, the world is your oyster. They make paracord in pretty much every color under the rainbow. Something that a lot of you hardcore guys have probably already thought about, but zip ties or wire ties or whatever, not the little tiny mini things, although you could use those too, but the medium to large zip ties, they're great for repairing broken gear or securing things together or whatever. And they cost almost nothing. I mean, you get a whole bag of them for $5. Buy a bag of them, stash them in your pack. You never know when you're going to need to secure something. And it's just too simple. And then, of course, ubiquitous duct tape. I use ubiquitous twice. That's the word of the day, ubiquitous. No. Duct tape, the mini rolls, that's why we put a mini roll in the Pocket Lifesavers, so you don't have to carry around an actual big roll of duct tape. The mini rolls, like the 3-foot, 4-foot mini rolls of duct tape, are fantastic. I've got one for you. You want me to give you a lanyap? I'll give you a lanyap. Get one of those disposable Bic lighters. Oh, I know about those. Yeah, you know about those, right? Take a disposable Bic lighter and take that big, 1 pound roll of duct tape that you've got there, or Gorilla Tape or whatever, and then cut off about 3 feet of it and roll it around the lighter and throw it in your pack. Wow, you just gave me 2 tools in one. Yes, I did. And you're welcome. Fold over the tab so it's easy to get. You remember when I did that, Jared? Remember I took the lighters and put the duct tape around them, threw them in the emergency packs? He's giving me that look like, maybe?
Lighters with duct tape around them.
Yeah, you take the disposable lighter and you tear off about a 3-foot, 4-foot strip of duct tape, and you use the lighter as the roll part.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
You're welcome.
Wow.
All right.
Look at you using your brain and stuff.
Yeah, I know. Look at me using my brain and stuff. So there you go. 5 things: mind and body support material, food and water, trauma first aid, foul weather gear, and tools. And you said, Paul, you didn't even talk about weapons and ammo and armor and all that stuff. Yeah, I know, because that's mission-specific gear. And you've already thought about that. I guarantee you've already thought about your rifle, ammo. You're super jacked up about that, but you never thought about gloves or a hat or aspirin or, Tylenol, did you? You gonna take that PMag and hold it against your head when you're bleeding? No, you're not, right? So there you go.
You want an aspirin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't forget about our friends at SWAT Fuel. Use the promo code SOTG2015 at SWATfuelstore.com. And our friends at Frog Lube. Check out the new Frog Lube Extreme. And we had a Go Team moment we were going to talk about, but guess what? We ran out of time, so we're going to talk about that tomorrow. All right, kids, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Don't forget your homework assignment. Did I tell them their homework assignment yet?
Tell them their homework assignment.
Your homework assignment is go to studentofthegunradio.com and get yourself included in the Honey Badger launch. You guys will not regret it. Trust me.
There you go. All right, remember, you're a beginner once, but you should indeed be a student for life.